Welcome back, everyone. This is Race for Survival at race4survival.com and on YouTube, a couple pages there. It's Friday, October 16th, 2015. This is the last part 4 for this news report today. Quick question. Would you guys want me to put in there, like in the description, part 1, part 2, part 3? It doesn't really matter. I mean, you can watch these individually, but the way I make them, it would be best if you watched them like in a kind of an order. But either way, I'd like to hear your thoughts, or just maybe some other suggestions too. But either way, I appreciate you joining me and checking out these videos, and hopefully you're sharing them or at least enjoying them. We left off with this right here. African migrant says he thought he would get a house and a car in a couple of months. I didn't watch the video. I'm going to watch it now later because Andrew England was pointing out in Denmark, look at the way the interviewer talks to him like he's a child. How can we treat these grown men like children and still promote the concept that they are the same as us? We talked about how the taxpayers in the UK are going to pay for a luxury stretch Hummer limo to bring in some of these invaders, how they're demanding money, refusing food, how actually in Germany they're having their children make their beds and cook for them. Included practical work experience at a local asylum center into a week activity. The plan angered parents opposed to the idea of the children changing linen on refugees' beds and helping to cook food and sorting their clothes. This was an actual letter that was posted on Facebook by a mother who obtained it from a friend whose son received it at school. Originally, people didn't know what to make of it. They actually thought it was a joke until the local media covered it and confirmed that it was actually true. One angry post read, "I'm definitely not a hater. I'm super tolerant, but this is taking the matter a bit too far. Is there a new discipline at school which is called servitude?" Recent reports have emerged that Germans expressing discontent with Syrian refugees living nearby or making threats towards asylum seekers on social media could be labeled radical and xenophobic, which eventually could cost them their jobs and children. So it's not just being called a hater or having the left with their moral high ground call you immoral and, not a humanitarian. It's just, it takes it a step further where they can have you lose your livelihood or your job, so you can't, take care of your family. I mean, this serious attacks, threats. This is all in the name of tolerance and equality. And people like to think that the left is somehow, non-violent, but they can be very violent, really nasty. Here you have Syrians safe in Russia are taking the opportunity, as they call it, to slip into Norway to seek asylum. They actually have a map. Instead of following more common, often deadly routes into southern Europe, some Syrian migrants are taking a longer but faster route to Norway via Russia. They see the path across Russia and their border with Norway is a newly available opportunity for a better life. And this story reminded this writer here of the Syrian woman saying that many Syrians are just opportunists. Here you have Austrians showing strong support for refugees. It was a rally over the weekend. It was attended by roughly 60,000 Austrians showing support for the invaders passing through or staying in Austria. Here's the stories you just hate to see, but they're out there. The Train of Hope, that's right, the Train of Hope, helps refugee arrivals. One of several groups that formed to help refugees arriving in Austria from Syria and other countries is the Train of Hope. Looks all nice and cute, and but if they only knew, right, what was going on, if the media wasn't blacking it out, if their parents wouldn't be, taken away by the thought police, probably wouldn't be opening their homes to these people. Not saying that they're all evil or bad, that they can't be civilized. They can, obviously, but en masse, this is just too much. And there's good reason to believe that this is an actual attack or an operation that's being carried out against ethnic European or white people. And if you're not, then and you don't believe that, well, it's like I don't really care. You have your own tribe, your own people to look after. I'm talking about basically commenters or trolls that will come into these videos. It's like, I don't give a crap what you think. Don't watch this video. It's not for you. The refugee crisis is going to cost Austrians, it says here, $1 billion in 2016 alone. By the year 2020, Britain will need to build 3 more cities the size of Birmingham to accommodate the insurgence of refugees fleeing hardships, as they call it, in Syria. These supposed experts, right? So this was simple math noted by Lord Green of Deddington. So it's a think tank. Billionaire Soros comes under fire in his own homeland. It says here politicians have accused him of supporting illegal migration amidst a refugee crisis that's brought the right-wing government under pressure. Slammed Soros in recent weeks for promoting liberal migrant policies and backing a variety of organizations through his pro-democracy charity that have criticized the way Orban's government has dealt with the crisis. And that's, very, very true. Soros is kind of behind the Black Lives Matter and also the Arab Spring, so very reasonable accusation. Op-eds, like in the Financial Times, Soros has said frontline states like Hungary were shrinking their asylum obligations and suggested a European refugee plan to provide each invader with almost $17,000 cash for 2 years to help covering housing and all that. God, he looks like a monster right here, dude. Soros keeps bombarding the international public with his earth-shattering plans, quite obviously in the name of true selflessness, which has manifested in so many ways in the countries where his activities have resulted in sovereign default in the past 30 years. Yeah, and color revolutions, regime changes. Yeah, it says here that his regime, Orban's regime, has been lambasted by fellow EU leaders, blah, 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 for actually taking a tough stance on migration, actually building a fence. That's a bad leader. You're not supposed to, protect your borders and stuff. So, again, like logic flies out the window here. The Prime Minister has also made controversial claims, including those which suggest Hungarians do not want a multicultural society. Yep. There was actually another one, politician in Eastern Europe, that actually started talking about white genocide. So they know what's going on over there in Eastern Europe, like we mentioned in the last couple of videos, where a poll said that, was it 35% compared to 25% of Eastern Europeans are anti-Semitic. Greek minister says EU refugee relocation program is being undermined by racism. That's right. The European Union must stop countries picking and choosing which refugees they accept in its relocation program, otherwise it will turn into a shameful human market, says Greece's new migration minister. I wonder what Golden Dawn would, what kind of public statements they would be putting out. I'm sure they would be very different from this guy. As far as a human market, there already is a human market. It's called human trafficking, and Merkel has actually been accused by Germans in political parties as being guilty. They want to charge her for human trafficking, because that's exactly what they're doing. Something that I thought of, and I want to just throw it out there, because I mentioned it in, I think it was my first video, maybe my second, about the whole ISIS and Israel and creating refugees in the Middle East, basically Jews and neocons in the United States creating these Middle East wars which create the refugees. I've gone over this before. And then you have Putin now finally coming in and starting to take part in this stabilization campaign. But I also talked about how a lot of it had to do with just the economy, which was running gas lines and pipelines and stuff through Syria, through the Ukraine, which is why you see stuff like that, these operations taking place. But what I thought about yesterday is these Gulf states, Qatar, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and them are very rich. They have an invested interest in these gas lines and these energy lines going into Europe, basically to compete with Russia. So I thought, we know that they are funding these terrorist groups, mostly Sunnis, in the Middle East to create regime change. And so they can isolate Putin and Russia economically and politically. And this will secure energy security, I guess is what they call it in Europe. If they have their own pipelines coming, say, from the Gulf countries. My point is what if there was some kind of deal that was made between these Gulf states and European sellout trader leaders like Merkel, that if they create this destabilization, they get these, whatever needs to be done, regime change, refugees, all this crap, in the Middle East so that they can lay these pipelines, so they can send them into Europe, so that they can be basically have their own gas lines instead of having to go to Russia. And in return, the Gulf states said, we're not taking them, you got to take them. And that's what they're doing right now. They're basically just paying up on their end of the bargain. I don't know if that's how it is, but... So more patriots out there. Refugee center attacked. I guess it's called Warden. Attacking refugee accommodations is the last means of Europeans having to defend their homes against an invasion. Of course, their own governments ought to be doing that for them. Instead, they collaborate with the invaders. So... moving on here, we also seen that in Germany as well. In Germany, a firefighter has been accused of arson at a Syrian refugee's home. A firefighter who told authorities he was scared of refugees has been accused of setting a blaze in the attic of a house where Syrians were living. 1 in 3 Germans want Merkel's resignation because of her refugee policy. 33% think that she should resign. And this group, or CARE, I think it's called the Council for American Islamic Relations. Basically, they're one of the main ones bringing in these refugees in America. Blast Steve King statements on Syrian refugees. He said, "I can't find models of the folks that, let's say, do the Hajj to Mecca. I can't find models where they've assimilated into the broader culture and civilization where they've gone." They said King's demonstrating false assertion that Muslims cannot be assimilated is deeply disturbing and reminiscent of Nazi-era falsehoods targeting European Jews. Their comments were basically offensive, divisive, and not rooted in any facts. Well, to be honest, that actually some truth to that about the Jews is that they're ethnocentric, and they do maintain their own culture and identity. And for a nationalistic state, that can pose some problems. It looks like some Arab said from Iowa, a politician, that his statements were offensive views that have no place in our public discourse and are totally unacceptable for a public official. The only thing you can say to that person is, get over it, dude. You don't have the right, like I've said before in my old GGN videos, you don't have the right to not be offended by what I say. You have here, Act for America launches citizen action campaign urging 18 mayors to rethink their demands for more Syrian refugees. That's what I covered. They want 100,000. If you go to this website, Refugee Resettlement Watch, type in, pause this video, type in this headline, and you can write one of these representatives from one of these states if they're included. And it's already got a pre-made, a letter. All you got to do is fill it in. We're talking about limousines for in the UK for the refugees. In the UK, Home Office bans luxury goods for Syrian refugees. They warned against providing radios and TV sets. So he expressed concern, saying that the government should be concentrating on setting minimum standards for all Syrians seeking sanctuary in the UK, of stating what they should not be allowed. The charity director from Save the Children says, "Child refugees aren't coming here for our services. They're coming for our protection. We should give it gladly." These are the same people. They used to send me this damn junk mail because I donated to them one time. They always send you envelopes with a bunch of fucking Africans on the cover, and they hardly ever show any white kids on there. And that's when I realized I need to stop donating to those people. Sweden thrown into political uncertainty after the small Christian Democratic Party dropped out of a deal called the December Agreement that kept the minority left-wing government in power. What they call the far right and anti-immigrant Sweden Democrats, they've become Sweden's third largest party in the elections last year. The center-left party SPO in Austria won the election, but the far-right Freedom Party made significant gains and recorded its best ever results in the capital. This FPO is going to take Vienna deputy mayor post. It says this guy's father was convicted of Holocaust denial and made controversial comments himself. North Carolina police chief has been ousted for having an opinion after he said radical black activists were domestic terrorists. And a communist mayor in France says the French police and politicians are afraid to enforce a veil ban so that there's territories where the Salafists have taken the upper hand. Refugees taunt police with selfies showing stolen goods, but they cannot be arrested because there's no witnesses and because they're minors. And an Afghani who raped a 14-year-old Swede faced deportation but converted to Christianity will now receive welfare and permanent residency. Illegal alien from Mexico who filmed Texas woman on Walmart toilet might be released into the U.S. And that's it. Thank you for joining me. This is Race for Survival.